SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
DinnerBellCorinth.com has the best food in Corinth, Mississippi. Awarded Best Salad Bar, Best Steakhouse, Best Overall Restaurant, and Best Lunch and Dinner under $10. You can't beat it. For delicious food at affordable prices, order online. Visit DinnerBellCorinth.com.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning, Mississippi.
Everything gonna be all right this morning.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
Oh, yeah.
Here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Woo! Now, when I was a young boy, at the age of 5, my mother said I was gonna be the greatest man alive. But now I'm a man.
Good morning to you on a Friday morning once again. The 20th of February. We've only got one more Friday in this tiny little short month, but we're going to enjoy them to the best of our ability. Dave Hughes in on Fridays as always, and as always over in the booth, the magic box, the one and only Lance Tolbert. How you doing this morning?
Good morning. I mean, we're about to almost summer weather today.
Yeah. Look, we're in the 80s for a large portion of the state. Don't worry, we're going to fix that by Monday, though.
Yeah. It will definitely flip back around, huh? I mean, we're not done with it.
I'll put it like this. I know for a fact the high today down here in southwest Mississippi in the low 80s. Mm-hmm. This is Friday. Monday night, the forecast low is 30.
Yeah, we got one of those here, too, I think, in the central Mississippi area. It looks like around 33 on Monday. But it's only really one day, right? I mean, It's Sunday night, Monday night, and then it gets back to warming up a little bit, 50s, 70s, 60s through the weeks upcoming. So, I guess I can put up with a little bit more 30s if I have to. If you've got 70s, I mean, that's like perfect weather, right? 71, sunny, 71, partly cloudy, a little breeze kicking 9 to 10 miles an hour. That's what we get to look forward to next week after the little cold.
Yeah, and that's the best part is that yesterday, for example, was perfect. Oh, yeah, so good outside. It was so nice.
I dozed off on the back porch, just sitting there, playing with the dogs, listening to a podcast. I was waiting for a baseball game to come on at 4:00. My nephew, and I looked down. It was 2, and then all of a sudden it was 4. I was like, what happened? I mean, I just blacked out, man, just sitting there. Oh, it was perfect, though. I mean, you're just kind of absorbing all that good, I guess it's good weather, it's great weather, plus had a little breeze. It was nice. The one thing I didn't like, though, I noticed that immediately the mosquitoes were out.
I was just about to point that out just a moment ago, because not only are we having a problem with mosquitoes at my house, but all of a sudden the wasps have reappeared from nowhere.
And they're mad.
Oh, they're always mad.
They're just mad, yeah.
That's the default factory setting on a wasp is, I'm going to hit you.
There was a time where I had a big old garbage can. I had the roof redone. This is when I lived up in Oxford. Had shingles taken off, had a metal roof put on it, and they had thrown all the shingles in just kind of all around. And I picked them all up and kind of stacked them in garbage cans. And I had one that was just overstacked. And I just kind of left it there for a little while. During the winter, I went over there going, okay, it's probably time to move this thing, and peeled off about 10 or 12 of those shingles on top. And there was probably 10,000 wasps that had hibernated in there. And they weren't red at that point in the winter. They were white. They were yellow and white, soft and sleepy, and I decided I said, I'm going to put these shingles right back on top of that. And, I mean, there were thousands upon thousands of them that had gotten in there.
Were the shingles flammable? There was an easy solution to this problem.
So I took the gas, I took the good old diesel and poured it all in there. And
there we go.
Lit that thing up, man, and I had no problems watching all those wasps go, because I'd been fighting them for years. I was like, man, and I had a wooden house. I mean, they just find spots. But whatever had happened there, they decided that was the safe spot. No, it was not. But man, that was seeing them all go up like that, though. You know, with the shingles, it was crazy. It was a scene out of some kind of like Armageddon, you know, flying wasps on fire. But I was not upset.
It helps you sleep well at night when you find something like that at the house.
It was a good project right there.
Yeah.
But I learned a lesson, too, with that. If you have shingles laying around or something like that, those wasps during this time of year, I guarantee you they've gotten up in there.
Pro tip, by the way, when dealing with wasps, I don't know if you've tried any of this. A lot of people have. Some people still are a little surprised when you tell them about this because they're not aware. Get the spray that, A, shoots out like 20, 30 feet, but also is an expanding foam. Mm-hmm. Because when you squirt it on the nest, it expands up. The wasps can't get away, and it just self-contains everything right there. And then as the bubbles pop, the dead wasps just drop to the ground. Because, you know, if you just use the regular spray, for the first 60 seconds, all you've done is made them very mad at you, which is not the goal.
Man, I went up to camp. It must have been a couple of months ago, 3 months ago, and I started smoking. I turned on the grill. I threw some good hickory wood and some smelly good stuff in there. Had the fire burning, and it was probably 2 feet tall. And as it started dying down, it smokes going up into the rafters, getting behind the ceiling boards on that porch. And all of a sudden, I thought it was mosquitoes, but it was thousands upon thousands of wasps that had woke up because of the smoke. It had aggravated them. And it was probably 8, 9 at night. I'm out there watching a football game, and I'm just covered up in what I think are mosquitoes. I'm like, why are there mosquitoes? It's 50 degrees. And I flip the light on, and my dogs are running around getting stung left and right. I'm getting hit. As soon as the light came on, it was a scene out of like something crazy. There were wasps everywhere, man. I mean, they had gotten in the cabin, they'd gotten everywhere. So yes, this is beware of wasp season. I will say though, I will give Spectracide, the type that has the dielectric shock.
Oh, yeah.
That stuff works like a charm, man. I'll buy that in the cases when I go up there. And it's fun. I mean, you can just you hit them one time with that stuff, and they just hit the ground. So I don't know what a dielectric shock is. Maybe somebody can explain that. But it works. So get you plenty of that stuff. And the white, and it's just a white can with black and red writing.
As I get older, I have, once upon a time, I would have been in the same situation and be like, what is a dielectric shock? How does this work? I've now reached the age where you get the can, you use it, you read on the can, and it says dielectric shock, and you say, okay, that worked, and then go about your business.
That's right.
I don't care how it works as long as it does.
Yeah, my dad and I figured that one out. It had to be 10 years ago. And I'd never seen the can before and bought it, and that stuff works so well that it's, I almost like will not go anywhere without a can of that in the car. It works so well. So, well, I mean, we're getting to that season though, so be careful. You'll see the snakes and the wasp and all that stuff will be creeping out. If you're lucky, you'll have a cat bring you a couple presents, like a snake without a head on it. I've already had a couple of a few mouse and rats. Bird. Oh, yeah. We had the bird the other day in the water bowl. There was no bird left. It was just feathers everywhere. I was like, who got the bird today?
The bird, the rest of the bird went to a worthy cause.
Of course, yeah. So they're hungry. But that's that season. Everything's waking back up, and so I love it. But baseball, we're there. Are you a baseball fan, Dave? Are you more?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but I'm sorry. Everything just feels too early. I noticed it. I wrote it down on my calendar on the wall at home. The first mosquito I took a swing at this year was on February 4th. That's
early.
A bit early.
It is, yeah. I mean, that makes you wonder how rough the summer, or at least this spring, will be with the mosquitoes. I'm not a mosquito fan. I hate them. It's just something that and the fly. But I found that the flies, you can get that little baggy thing that smells putrid and hang a few of those up. It is such an attractor. So, folks, if you're wondering what you're going to do with the flies this year, get that little clear bag. You put a little water in it as a solution, and then they can't stop themselves. They love that thing. But I counted probably 400 flies the other day. Immediately, as soon as the weather popped, that bag is filled up with little babies everywhere.
Well, I'm still looking for a decent solution to the mosquito problem because our backyard is very wooded.
Mm-hmm. Bats are your best.
Very well. We've got a bat house. I got to put it up. I don't know if there's enough room for Adam West in there, but it's very nice. And I've got 2 or 3 places I could put it on the house. But, we've tried everything. We've tried the foggers. We've tried the sprays. Have you seen those little tubes you're supposed to fill with water and then hang at the corners of the property?
I've seen them. I don't know if they work, though.
No, they do not.
They do not. Okay.
From my personal experience, it just makes the mosquitoes hyper.
We're
That's
checking
all
off
we
stuff
got
here. We're checking it off on mornings.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know where else to go. I guess it's time to put the bat house up. And
I would put it up. I mean, they eat millions upon millions of them.
Then we'll have fewer flying creatures, but they'll be much larger.
Yeah. My dog Hawk loves chasing the bats. The bats have a unique relationship.
That dog,
he loves them.
It's perfect. Now we're just getting warmed up, just getting started. A lot of stuff to get into today, including the former Prince Andrew, Steve Perry, and UFOs from Trump. This is going to be a day. We'll get into all that and more before we're done on this Friday morning on Super Talk Mississippi. Keep it here.
From the Venable
with Richard Cross. Super Talk Mississippi.
Welcome back. Mornings on Super Talk Mississippi, presented by Community Bank, communitybank.net. It's where you can go to find out more about the bank rooted in our community. Hearing that bumper music as we came in, I had a conversation yesterday with someone, and it turned to singing. It was several people involved. And one of them had a vocal coach and was talking about the fact that, they had it stressed that you would never succeed as a singer unless you pronounced every letter in every word as you were singing. I laughed so hard I pulled a muscle in my side. I said, well, yeah, that's good advice, as Eddie Vedder once said. Nobody knows what he was saying half the time.
No, man, that was I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's one of my favorite things about Eddie Vedder is he's kind of got a little James Brown in him, right? I mean, you get a lot of ooh, yeah. There's not a better man in the business than James Brown, but there are some guys that did emulate him very well. Eddie Vedder being one of those, and also can speak in tongues apparently.
Well, he can speak in something. I don't know what it was, but it was.
Pearl Jam to me was one of those bands that there was a few good songs, really, and they really jammed them out, and I really liked them. But the rest was just kind of okay, I don't know. Grunge was kind of that way, right? I don't know.
Well, music in general was that way. Let me ask you this. Before we reach the current state of the music industry where everybody gets just the songs they want to hear and nothing else on Spotify or downloads or whatever, when you had to go and buy the album.
Right. Oh, yeah.
How many albums can you name that every song on the album was great?
Oh, no, you barely even got to the second side half the time. You're like,
you
wear it out you wear out the tape before you get there.
Yeah, usually you had 2, maybe 3 good songs per album. The rest of it was just kind of there. That's the way music always was. But I think that's why we feel like we've lost something in the music industry, because those songs that weren't hits were the band kind of stretching their wings and feeling things out and experimenting. That's not allowed anymore.
Unless you're doing it yourself. It's kind of like self-publishing. I guess you can write and say whatever you want if you're funding it yourself. But yeah, I always was fascinated with the music industry because you always would hear that same comment. Like, you never really got to stretch your wings, especially the old blues guys that, I've studied over the years. They would always kind of be boxed up a bit, because of the way the studio wanted it done. And then eventually they get older and they're like, well, I'm going to do it my way now. And I always like hearing those renditions and the other side of the coin, seeing the how the musician really wanted to play that song or what was really going through their mind. But it seemed like the music industry had a great grip on what actually came out. Now it's just go out to YouTube. Or go out to TikTok. You can find about anything.
And I'm not going to say that's necessarily worse because this is the free market economy for creativity.
Yeah.
I don't care what kind of art it is. Okay, anybody wants to put something out there, do it. Mm-hmm. The market will decide if you make it or not.
Well, it's mainstream media versus... I love the way our company has adapted so well to all the different genres. We have radio, we have television, you have multimedia, which is, you're streaming in the online. And it's a hard process to really wrap your arms around all of it because there's so much now. It's not like you just do one thing and you just do it well. We have an award-winning news team here that pumps out great journalism on a daily basis. We're live. We also have streaming and podcasts. So to me, it's just really fun to be a part of an organization like this because we get to cover so much ground. We get to, of course, we got to abide by the FCC. Yeah, exactly. It's so diverse in how we can bring you things and have conversations with you.
And it's, we kind of buck the trend. We kind of go against the grain on that because, as you were talking about with the old blues guys, and anybody from an earlier time in music or anything else, again, for that matter, the most limiting factor for most artists, whether they be musical, graphic, writers, whatever, the most limiting factor is success because once you've succeeded one way, that's all you're allowed to do from then on.
Well, and that's funny you mention that because we were just talking about Samuel Clemens, Mark Twain, and his real start was as a newspaper guy. And he didn't really cover much that he enjoyed right out of the gate. It was just kind of stuff, mundane. But he talked his publisher in San Francisco. I think he was in New York at the time, into sending him to the Holy Land with a group of American pilgrims that were going over there to make the trek and to see all the holy sites. And up until that point, his writing was funny, but he wasn't really considered what you would say a humorist. But that 5-month trip, roughly, and you think about it, on a boat with people you've never met, and you go over there and you're going to go through all of these sites together with folks that are teetotalers and all this. But that allowed him an opportunity to spread his wings. And he would send it back and it would get published. And I don't think he really knew how well it was being received in the States, but the stories were comic. And he was making fun of everything, basically. It was really his starting point for being what you would consider a humorist. And the most famous, as he returned back, his career blossomed. But it wasn't something that was projected to happen. It was that creativity, that unknown, hopping on the boat, heading out into the great beyond, and just creating. And that's the beautiful story there. And then kind of the rest is history. But I was mentioning the book is called Innocents Abroad, if you've never read it. And it's absolutely hilarious.
Well, and the thing is, you go back several hundred years, and over in Europe, royalty kept artists as pets, basically. They sponsored them, they gave them a little hut to live in, and supplied them with, canvas and paint and whatnot, and said, make pretty things. Because it was a status symbol to have your own artiste on the grounds. Those days are long gone. Nobody's sponsoring anybody to sit around and just work on creating art 24/7. There has to be some commercial aspect to it, or you're going to starve to death.
Yeah.
Which is fine, but then you don't get to turn around and gripe when it becomes open market, free market. Which is what has happened with music, with the way it's being distributed now. That's what has happened with writing, with self-publishing, which has caught unmitigated grief I've never understood that because, you think it's only good if it comes from a traditional publisher?
If Penguin Press puts it out, then it's got to be good.
Oh, well, then
I've read some stinkers,
Only read those books. Why does this hurt your feelings so badly that somebody else might want to read something else?
Mm-hmm.
And now we're headed that way. I'm sure you've seen the stories this week in the movie industry.
It's interesting. Entertainment to me is I kind of like it. I mean, it's a mess. Let's put it that way. It's hard to find stuff. There's no real portal where you go, I want this, and then Google, and that's kind of where you go, or Bing, or one of those. You just go type in what you're looking for now into a search engine, and it kind of funnels you to where that is. And we're getting better at that. But, yeah, I kind of like the open architecture where anything is possible in the creative world. But it also opens up, some craziness, too. There's always going to be the crazy side of it also.
There's always been crazies. Yeah. Always. And, the whole thing about being able to find the good stuff,
mm-hmm.
That is a problem that is new in scope, not in type. That's always been the problem.
I agree. Yeah.
Since day one, that has been the difficulty. Where do you find the good stuff?
Where's all the good stuff?
And sometimes you waste your time on the bad stuff to finally eventually get to the good stuff.
I'll tell you, with music, I just go behind Perez in the production room and just see what he's been downloading and go, okay, that saves me about 3 days of work and sifting through.
Yeah.
But when you got somebody like Perez around, a wealth of information and music and all things, I can cheat a little bit.
Perez, he is, oh boy, he's going to kill me when he hears I said this. He's old radio.
Well, of course.
And he and I had plenty of conversations in that realm because, I've been doing this for over 40 years now. Perez has got me by a year or two, but we used to have some great conversations about these darn whippersnappers and the way things are being done. So, yeah, if you want to know the best thing to do, the best place to go, music-wise,
mm-hmm.
just like you said, go stand behind Perez and watch over his shoulder. You'll find out real quick.
I will not disagree with that.
No, he is a past master in the musical world, specifically for the good stuff.
Oh, yeah, no, he finds it, buddy. That's what I'm telling you. I won't even know the songs he's talking, that are downloaded. I'll hit it. I'm like, man, I can't believe I didn't hear that before.
That was good. Where'd that come from? Yep, that's the Perez experience. We continue on this Friday morning on Mornings here on Super Talk Mississippi. Right after this, keep it here.
From the Seabrook.com
with Richard Cross, Super Talk Mississippi.
Another great rock and roll enunciator, Kurt Cobain. Welcome back. Mornings presented by the folks at Community Bank, who is here for every part of your financial journey. If you're looking to manage your personal finances, their banking services make it simple, secure, and tailored to you. If you're ready to grow your business, they offer expert guidance and custom solutions to help your business thrive. And if you're dreaming of a new home, the mortgage specialists at Community Bank are there to make the process seamless, all of it designed with you in mind. They're more than just a bank. They're your partner for life's biggest moments. Community Bank, rooted in our community, member FDIC, and equal housing lender.
You talking about great enunciators? Well,
yeah.
You got one that has a birthday today.
Who?
Charles Barkley.
Oh,
One of my favorite people of all time.
You know, he's one of those people that on paper, if you just look at it, you shouldn't like the guy. But I love the guy. I think everyone does.
He's just something. He's a unique individual. I spent a year at Auburn, Barkley and Bo Jackson, Frank Thomas, icons, even at the time I was there, 93, 94. So I wanted to mention that. We did have some pretty nice birthdays today, though, so kind of action-packed list of them with Miles Teller, Mr. Maverick, Top Gun, and many others.
Okay.
39. Sidney Poitier died in 2022, sadly. One of my favorites of all time. Got to love Sidney Poitier. He died at 99 years old, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rihanna, 38 years old. And Kurt Cobain. He today would have been his birthday, so a little reason we're playing a little Nirvana today. 1994, and there's still a controversy on what actually happened with Kurt Cobain.
That's what I was about to say. You know, the news came out this week that they're saying that it was more than likely a homicide now, not a suicide.
Yeah, I've been watching a couple of podcasts on that, and it kind of brings back a lot of memories.
I told my wife that when that story came out. She said, "Yeah, I've known that for 30 years."
Yeah, I think
the news.
Yeah, everybody kind of knew it, but now it's a homicide, not a suicide. They were talking about the amount of heroin that was in his system would have been able to enough to like kill everybody on the Titanic.
Yes,
there was no way that he could have possibly done that himself, and then offed himself. So one of those weird stories that, and apparently Courtney Love has never really, answered certain questions about this, and so we'll be interested to see how this all comes out. And so Brian Luttrell, obviously everyone knows who he is, 51-year-old member of the Backstreet Boys, one of the greatest boy bands of all time, huh?
The new kids on the block would like to see you out behind the studio if you're going to call Backstreet one of the greatest.
I'm just trying to set up a nice arm wrestling match between the two groups. We'll do it right here in the studio.
No, I think for those two groups to satisfy me, it needs to be the professional slap fighting.
I was kind of going with that. Yeah, I figured they would break out into a slap fight after nobody could move each other's arm. We
watching AJ Styles, just fly across the room. Yeah, perfect.
We got some good musicians though. Jay Gales from the Jay Gales Band, Centerfold, died in 2017. Today would have been his birthday. Walter Becker, Steely Dan co-founder, died in 2017. A couple of other notable figures out there. Cindy Crawford, and the title of Supermodel is apropos for Miss Crawford. 60 years old. Charles Barkley, as we mentioned, 63, NBA Hall of Famer. Ansel Adams, famous landscape photographer, said he died at age 124. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm going to have to do some verification, but died in 1980.
I'm not sure about that one. Yeah.
I'm not sure about that one. Man, Robert Altman, he died at 101. He was a film director, died in 2006, and he was known for MASH. So that ought to give you a little bit of what happened on this day as far as birthdays go. And if we want to hit some weather, it's just going to be one of those weekends here with the Delta. Likely going to have some showers today. Tomorrow it'll pick up about a 60% chance as you get into the evening. Saturday will be a little bit more sunny and clear. Some windiness out there in the Delta. Saturday night going to be clear again and more wind. Low around 36 degrees on Saturday night, it says. Mm-hmm. And then Sunday, you're going to have wind gusts, and it'll be around 53. So a little cool Saturday, Sunday night into Monday in the Delta. On the coast, probably going to be one of those types of days where you have a chance of showers, about 40%, mainly before around 3 o'clock. There'll be some fog this morning up till around 10 a.m. on the coast, so be real careful out there. It'll be mostly cloudy with a high about 77. So that sounds kind of muggy on the coast with a little bit of a south wind coming out of the Gulf around 10 miles an hour. You got some rain chance tonight before 11 p.m. and then some slight chance of showers as you go into the early morning. Again, there will be fog tomorrow morning, so if you're on the coast and you're getting up, moving around tomorrow, maybe a little rainy and some fogginess. Saturday night, chance of showers, possibly a thunderstorm. And Saturday, you're looking at around a 60% chance there with a high near 75. So again, Saturday a little muggy, and it'll cool off a little bit on the coast, get you down to about 47 Saturday night. Chance of rain about 50%. So the coast is really looking like a kind of a cool and wet on Saturday night, and a little muggy and wet during Saturday and maybe tonight. Sunday, it'll get up to around 60, and the wind will start drying things off. There'll be some big gusts out there of about 30 miles an hour. We've got some ball games being played this weekend in Oxford. Oxford weather, 20% chance of showers today. Tonight, a 50% chance of showers between 9 p.m. and 5 a.m. Low around 45 tonight. So if you're going to be in Oxford, you might want to wrap up and bring an umbrella. Saturday, partly sunny, high near 63. Have some winds, but no real rain to worry about. Saturday night, much the same. Low around 31 degrees. And Sunday, another clear and beautiful day, around 50 degrees with a low Sunday night of around 24, and that's in Oxford. And then in Starkville, basically a copy and paste type of forecast. Chances of showers between 3 and 5, mostly sunny, high near 68. Chance of the wet stuff during the day-to-day around 20%. That'll move up to around 70% tonight. So the chance of showers between 4 a.m., 5 a.m., so a really early morning. So hopefully they'll be able to get the ball in. The chance of the wet stuff is 70%, low around 51. Tomorrow, be a little prettier, 20% chance of showers, high near about 68, around 70. And then Saturday night will be much nicer. Good wind blowing, 36 degrees, ought to be nice and nippy out there in Starkville. And then Sunday, it'll get up to around 52 degrees. Pretty good wind gusts, might be one of the home run hitting type of days in Starkville. So that catches us up on the state's weather for the weekend. And
you know, I saw from the National Weather Service they have put out the severe weather map, the risk of threat. The only area in the state, this sounds like bad news, but it's not. So let me finish. The only real area of the state that has a chance of bad weather this weekend, other than just, you know, occasional thunder showers, is about the northern fifth of the state. It sounds like horrible news until you realize it is classified as an extremely low risk. This risk being issued is the National Weather Service's way of looking busy. There's not really much of a chance at all of any of that happening, so it's just going to be a wet weekend. That's fine.
Yeah, and
we'll take that.
And it's moving from south to northeast, so a little bit different than some of the storms we've seen recently. We're getting more of that summer kind of feel where you're getting the Gulf and the southern winds blowing north, so most of this will be coming from the coast and an angle, you know, kind of at that diagonal northeast through the weekend. So nothing looks very heavy, but like you said, there could be a few little spots in there.
I don't know if you saw the, I say the final count, the latest count from last weekend's storms. Counting the tornadoes that were confirmed in eastern Texas, all of Louisiana, and all of Mississippi. That frontal system spawned 30 confirmed tornadoes last weekend.
How many actually hit down in Mississippi? It was almost 10, right? It was like 6, 7,
I think
8,
so.
9,
I think, it was close to 10.
And
that we
thank
had
goodness it didn't sound like there was a lot of damage, but anytime you get into that season where they start spinning on you, I'm not a big, I despise the tornado. You know, it's one of those, it is a scary thing, even growing up around them and, you know, doing the drills at school and all that. That's one of those acts of nature that is just spooky to me.
Yeah, well, the difference between it and, say, a hurricane, we sit here and watch it and obsess over it for a week before it finally gets here. We know what's coming. We know when it's coming, almost to the minute. Tornado, you're minding your own business. Beautiful day, sunny sky, squirrels are playing. It's a great tornado, and we're done.
Yeah.
And there's no way to really properly prepare for that. You just have to stay prepared at all times because you never know.
Yeah, it was like having a culvert nearby. You know, it's one of those things where you're like, where's the nearest culvert I can crawl in? I've avoided a couple, you know, within, and I know most people have. It's just those are always when you wake up the next day and you drive a few hundred yards down the road and there's just trees down everywhere where a tornado's hit and you didn't even know it hit. Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that gets me. I can't tell you how many times I've experienced that in my 51 years where you're going, wow, that was a close call, and I didn't even know it happened.
Look, we had about a year and a half ago, we had a small tornado that came through less than a block from our house. We were sitting in the kitchen with the power out, eating Doritos, watching out the window going, man, that looks rough. Had no idea.
This doesn't look good.
Yeah. So you got to be careful. When we come back, you got to be careful you don't miss your chance to be stupid rich. It's my favorite kind of rich, and that could describe you with the help of the Mississippi Lottery. We'll talk about that when we return here on Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi. Keep it here.
From the Venable Glass.
Let's go. Waking up the Magnolia State. Mornings with Richard Cross.
That's what it's here for.
Super Talk, Mississippi.
Yep, it's time. It's time to talk Mississippi Lottery, and we're going to start out in a different way today because we told you last week, and we've been telling you that there are still 2 unclaimed $2 million winning tickets. Each one of these 2 tickets won $2 million, and the person that has them, all they have to do is show up and turn it in, but there is, of course, a time limit on this. One of them was a $2 million winner Mega Millions ticket bought at the Pilot Travel Center in Moss Point. There's also a $2 million Powerball ticket that was sold at Mike's Food and Gas in Coldwater, and they expire at 5 o'clock today. We are down to the last few hours that a couple of millionaires can miss out on literally millions of dollars. So if you're in those areas, if you've ever been through those areas and you bought a ticket, if you know someone really well that might, break you off a little something, if you remind them and save it for them, get on the phone today because this is going to be sad if you've got 2 people that each could have $2 million by the end of business today and they don't make it. That's never what you want to see happen, and that's going to happen today unless those 2 ticket holders show up at the lottery office with their ticket. I don't think a phone call would do it at this point. You're going to have to take the afternoon off from work. If the boss doesn't like that, well, you're headed to pick up $2 million. I think you can take the hit at that point. I don't know of anyone who wouldn't.
Yeah, hey, what would you do if your boss is like, no, man, you can't go today. We need you. And you've got your ticket and you've got to go claim it. Are you just quitting on that day if you know $2 million's waiting for you?
Yeah, if I know for a fact, I have called and verified, yes, I do have the winning ticket. I just got to make it to the offices up there in central Mississippi to turn it in by 5 o'clock. And the boss says, nope, I need you here. That's going to be a short conversation, isn't it?
Yeah. It would be for me. I don't care how much I love my job. That $2 million be lingering. That's like a carrot in front of a mule, isn't it?
I wouldn't even hear the end of their sentence, to be honest, because the closing of the door behind me would cut them off. Just the way it is. Got some other jackpots floating around out there. Powerball's up to an estimated $190 million for tomorrow night's drawing. The jackpot for Mega Millions for tonight's drawing estimated at $416 million. We did, by the way, have a winner this week in Mega Millions. It wasn't $416 million, but somebody bought a ticket in Madison, matched 4 out of the 5 white balls and the Mega Ball. That put $30,000 in their pocket. I'll take that, too. The Lance Tolbert game, Mississippi Match 5, it's kind of running up high, Lance, higher than normal, $410,000.
Getting ripe.
It's been a while since I've seen that one get that high, which means it's due. And coming up this Sunday, the newest draw game is going to start Millionaire for Life. Tickets will go on sale. The first drawing will be Sunday night. You can win $1 million a year for life. You buy your ticket. If they pull your numbers, you could win $1 million a year every year for life. Another instance where it's going to be a short conversation with your boss.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
It's there's not a lot to talk out at that point.
I'm probably even going, hey guys, what would you pay me now? Instead of $1 million every year, what can we get now? Like, give me the J.G. Wentworth. I don't want an annuity plan.
I have a cash settlement, but I need cash now.
I need cash now.
Oh no, wait, not cash settlement, structured settlement.
You got a structured settlement,
and
you need cash now. J.G. Wentworth.
Call J.G. Tolbert and he'll
I may even
fix you
get
right
into
up.
that game. Yeah, that might be what I would do with my money. I just put out my own commercial. Yeah, J.G. Tolbert, if you've got a structured settlement, give me a holler. That would be my new business model, I think.
I would be running very short, like 15-second spots on every form of media available.
Why not? Huh? You got money to burn.
Well,
That Richard Cross money.
mine would just fade in. It would be me sitting there, and I go, "Hi, I'm Dave Hughes, and I'm a millionaire. Just thought you should know." And then a jingle would play, and it would fade out.
I'd probably hire me a group of like college kids to be telemarketers, but to call all of the people that call me, you know, just harass them.
Every day. Every day I am getting, the spam calls are getting ridiculous.
Yeah, I want some ammunition back, right? I want to call them at home while they're eating.
Let's see, I'm counting, I'm averaging about 10 a day.
Are you getting the ones with like the V and then 48 numbers and letters? And you're like, yeah, that looks legitimate.
I've gotten a couple of those. Most of the ones I'm getting here lately are from someplace in Mississippi, supposedly. They're not. It's a spoofed number, but that's what they want you to believe. Coming up after news from Fox News and SuperTalk Mississippi News, we've got our numero dos of mornings on this Friday morning on SuperTalk Mississippi. Keep it here.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on this show are not the opinions of TeleSouth Communications, its management, or advertisers.
What is it? What's going on?
Mornings with Richard Cross.
It is what it is.
Yes, it is.
Super Talk, Mississippi.
Welcome back. Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi, presented by Community Bank, rooted in our community, communitybank.net, where you go for more information. Coming up this hour, bottom of the hour, we've got Agriculture Commissioner Andy Gipson joining us, Dixie National Time. So we're going to talk to him about horses and other livestock. And it's always such a fun week out there. It's always such a fantastic show they put together, this year no exception. And we'll be getting more details from him a little bit later on. In the meantime, something that has nothing to do with that good news. How's your search for liquor going?
Yeah. Got a couple of big ones. You got the liquor story and then the hack yesterday at UMMC. Two terrible
That
ones.
one was, look, that one illustrated something that I don't think still most people understand. There is no such thing as secure protection of computer systems. You can ask anyone in law enforcement and cybercrime, in security for computer systems and other technology. They will all tell you the same exact thing. Every time they figure out a way to stop something the bad guys are doing, by the time they get that figured out and implemented, the bad guys have moved on to 5 other things.
Yep.
You can't keep up with them. You can't catch them. We've gotten off kind of easy, I think, in the state of Mississippi in general, because we don't have as much of this as we potentially could have. I think we're actually doing a pretty good job in this area, just because we don't have a lot of stories like this. Having said that, yesterday, that shutdown, it was a little more impactful than, they might have gotten your data, or the billing is going to be messed up. Surgeries were canceled. Procedures were not able to be done. That's literal potential life-threatening health problems caused by some jerk that comes in and starts messing with stuff. That's the world we live in.
Yeah. And they said, that UMMC officials, according to the SuperTalk Mississippi news team, put out a nice article yesterday, and it is relevant today as well. The UMMC said the attackers have communicated to us. So the hospital is working with law enforcement on the next steps. Now, with that said, UMMC will be closed today, according to the reports I have now. There will be continuing services for patients using downtime procedures, and they have triggered the emergency plan that they have in place. That is a hospital that employs more than 10,000 people, 70,000 patients annually, and operates 35 clinics across the state. So if you're trying to get to UMMC or one of the clinics today, I would recommend you give them a call first. Chances are they're not going to be open today, but they are still doing certain things in the medical world called downtime procedures for those patients that are currently in some type of, clinical setting, I'm sure. So a crazy situation, though.
Yeah, it is.
It says, meanwhile, all clinics are closed across the state. So, again, don't drive to a clinic. Call them first, but it does say they're going to be closed today. So,
yeah, we can pretty well answer that for you. You might want to just call to double check and verify, but we can pretty much tell you what they're going to tell you when you do make that call.
Yep.
The fact that
now the
UMMC,
dialysis clinic, one exception is the dialysis clinic at the Jackson Medical Mall, which is operational, and it will be open for scheduled appointments. But that is the only thing I'm seeing right now that is going to, if you have a scheduled appointment for anything other than the Jackson Medical Mall and the dialysis clinic, likely you're going to have a canceled or rescheduled appointment.
Yeah, but at least the dialysis is still running. That's
right.
Hugely important. Yes. With UMMC coming out and saying that the hackers had contacted them, well, this is an extortion deal, is what it sounds like to me.
Yeah.
It's ransomware, even if that's not the actual functional way that it's working. That's what that makes it sound like. Otherwise, the hackers, why would they be communicating with them unless they wanted money? Mm-hmm. That would be the whole reason for that. This is a logical chain going through my mind. Which means we got another group or even an individual with a scummy outlook on life who don't care who they hurt or how much they damage or destroy things as long as they get them some money. I guarantee you they're asking for crypto.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be money, obviously. They're going to want Bitcoin or something that they say is untraceable. But, I mean, like you said, no system is safe.
No. No, yeah,
there
is no such animal.
Safer than others, but nothing is immune from being hacked, apparently.
If anybody tells you that they're instituting a system that is 100% safe, no, they're not. Safer? Sure. Safest? Well, it's a comparative. You can argue that all day. But just plain, flat out safe? No. Doesn't exist. There's always a way for them to come after you.
Yeah, they weren't using like password 1. I mean, they have some extreme encryption processes there. So, I mean, as we keep moving forward, as we get more technical, you're going to have more technical know-how on how to steal and take and break and hack into stuff. So,
well, and you make a great point because of the regulation in the healthcare industry from the HIPAA laws on down. Nobody has password 1, 2, 3 as their password.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way. But that almost doesn't matter. We're kind of seeing the evidence play out here. My heart, I feel bad for the patients. I feel bad for everything else. The ones I really feel bad for are the IT department at UMMC. Because they are stuck between trying to get things back up and running and feeling absolutely horrible, in my opinion, for not really a justified reason. All you can do is all you can do. Sometimes it's not enough.
Yeah. It's, you can do everything you possibly can, like you said, and still be susceptible and to these types of, if somebody wants to get there and wants to dig into it, they're going to find a way in.
Yes.
And what they want is money. And they're going to say, hey, we stole all this stuff and you give us some money and we won't use this stuff. Extortion.
Poor former Prince Andrew.
Oh, goodness, man.
I lost sleep last night. I was so distraught over what that poor man is. That man is a jerk. Saw some clips from a 2019 interview he gave the BBC. So that would have been 7 years ago. And they were asking him questions about the Epstein thing. And the interviewer, to be fair, even then, 7 years ago, said, asked him, how do you feel about your relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and all the things that have come out and the fact that you stayed at his place so many times? And Andrew stuttered and stammered and hemmed and hawed for a second and then said, well, it was a very convenient place to stay.
Yeah. Good answer, bud.
Oh, they got worse in that interview. Go look it up if you just want to shake your head in disgust, because that's where we're at.
He's a Mountbatten,
No, don't get me started.
So, Lord Mountbatten, there was some weirdness with he and his wife and some of the accusations and, let's say, scandal that was covered up pretty well during the Lord Mountbatten times. And he was a mentor to Prince Andrew and extremely close. I'm not saying the apple doesn't far fall from the tree type thing, but it seems that if you're extremely rich, you can kind of get away with things sometimes.
Yes. Yes. Well, I have said it many times. I'm going to say it again right now. We fought a war several hundred years ago, so I wouldn't have to care about these people, but yet I still keep hearing about them every day.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason we fought that war was because, well, they're stupid.
I'm not the biggest fan of the royalties and the nobilities of the world. A lot of this country's lineage and, comes from European countries, but, most folks left for a reason because of the dysfunctional nature of the European politics and culture and things. This didn't jive up. Too much hatred. Some people say, hey, let's go over here to this new place where we can all kind of get along and we can all be our own and become this one thing called American. And I think we look at that now and we go, what does that mean? Oh, America, we did all these bad things. Think about what the rest of the world has done, though, and how America has come to the rescue of so many that have been in trouble. And, America's got a heart. And
the problem is, we can get into this after the break here very briefly. We've been talking, and I've used this term the other day, the researcher and philosopher, I guess you would call him, Gad Saad. I don't know if you're familiar with that name. Has come up with a term for what the left does. It's called suicidal empathy.
Yeah.
You're spending so much time showing how much you care about other things, you don't focus on what's important. And I think that relates somewhat to the entire Epstein scandal. Yeah. Maybe not in the way you think. We'll talk about that when we come back here on Mornings on this Friday morning. Keep it here.
I think I'll be right here to stay. Well, the water keeps churning while my poor heart is burning. Muddy water, take my pain away.
From the Venable Glass
Mornings with Richard Cross.
Wake up.
Yes, go. Come on.
All right.
Super Talk, Mississippi. Wake up.
Welcome back. Super Talk, Mississippi Mornings. Dave Hughes here, Lance in the booth. We were talking about the former Prince Andrew and current, bail bondsman subject number 1263, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, which you can tell is one of those names that he thinks he's something. Of course, it doesn't help that people have told him that, but it's all tied into the Jeffrey Epstein thing.
Well, you know that the original Mountbatten name was Battenberg, but as they moved over to England and wanted to get rid of their Germanic, heritage, they decided to change the name to Mountbatten instead of Battenberg.
Well, at least the name changed, because in a lot of the royal families, the family tree is more of a bush.
Yeah, I think you can see through most of them. Most of the royals are translucent by now, right?
Yeah. Well, if not, just give them a minute. They don't know. Well, that may be the reason why they don't like to be exposed to direct sunlight. There are others that are possible. But you set that one up. That's your fault. That's tied into the Epstein thing. Let me preface what I'm about to say by saying this. Anyone involved in any nonsense, in anything that Epstein was involved in of an illegal nature, especially involving kids, especially involving any and all of the horrendous sex crimes that we have heard about, any of that, they need to be punished. We need to get them. We need to take care of this. But here's my question for people who can't mentally multi-track. And I say that because there are so many people that if anything comes up, anything else, they say, yeah, but you're just trying to distract from the Epstein files. Here's my question to you, to that group of people. How is it going to affect your life personally, how that plays out, how this story turns out and ends? How is it going to affect you, or are you just making a big show to prove how virtuous and justice-minded you are? How is it going to impact your life compared to what's going on with this session of the Mississippi legislature? Every session of the Mississippi legislature has a direct effect on your day-to-day life. How much your taxes are, how much money you spend. Again, right now, whether or not you can find your favorite liquor. There are all sorts of effects that directly impact you. I think for some people, not everybody, but I think for some people, the whole Epstein thing has turned into performative virtue. It's suicidal empathy, as Gad Saad called it, ignoring things that matter to your day-to-day life to make sure everybody knows what a good person you are. I'm not saying it should be ignored. I'm not saying it should be let go. What I am saying is there's other things to focus on too, and you don't get to respond to every single thing that's brought up with the response, well, yeah, you're just trying to distract from Epstein. If that's the most important thing in your life, you need to reorder your priorities. And a lot of people, it is the most important topic in their mind because they've been told it should be the most important topic in their mind because there's a whole lot of people that stomp around proclaiming that we need to take care of business and take charge, who are unaware that they are willingly led sheep.
Well, and remember, this is the arrest of Andrew is not related to any claims made by any accusers. This is a confidential sharing of information where he basically was giving Epstein or his handlers information that was deemed secret while he was the envoy. While he was the envoy, right. In order to get money to repay loans that he had taken out or his family. And so this doesn't have much to do with the Epstein files as much as it has to do with treason. And what does this say about the royal family? I mean, you have royal scandals all over. You just don't hear about them. But in order to create tourism, you keep these translucent folks that used to mean something in a box with a little glass window so you can look at them, and they call that revenue. But yet you have this kind of stuff that's happening. This is the king's brother, for God's sakes.
Yes.
The king's brother.
This is not a distant branch of the family.
You remember the thing, there was a lady called Diana at one point, and she was kind of important. And who was she married to? The king. Right. So I know this is very important to a lot of folks, the Epstein side. Yes, it is. And we need to see people getting put in jail here. But at the end of the day, this has nothing to do with the Epstein files as much as it has everything to do with treason by the royal family.
I'm just saying we need to, which is good on any day of the week, we need to reexamine our priorities as individuals. Are you taking care of what actually impacts your life first? Or are you putting something else as the most important thing to focus on? We have lost the ability to do that, and I think that's part of our troubles right now.
Well, it's a lot of information, too. You're almost sprayed with information every day, and trying to figure out what's valid for you in your life, there's almost overkill there. You're given so much, and it's to kind of keep you, I think, in the gray. You're always wondering what's coming next. It keeps you unfocused.
I'll tell you something that could be more impactful to your day-to-day life than the Epstein situation. Mitch McConnell yesterday said that he was a no vote on the SAVE Act to require ID to vote. Then right after that, somebody asked him about running for re-election, and he said, I don't know, I haven't decided yet. And then an aide steps up and whispers in his ear, you've already said you're not running again. Mm-hmm. And he said, oh, yeah, that. He's 912 years old. He's making decisions for you, including whether or not people should have to present an ID to vote. Yeah, and he doesn't like that idea.
Yeah. I mean, we all have to present an ID for dang near anything we do, but I can guarantee you Mitch McConnell could probably walk up and vote without one. He probably has never used one, and that's why he goes, well, this isn't very necessary, or we don't have to have this, or whatever's going on there. The reality is you need an ID for dang near anything you do. Why is voting one of the most important things in our country, a constitutional right granted to citizens? Why is this such a hard idea to understand? Please explain this to me, Dave.
It's not. You have to default to the assumption that anyone who's against forcing folks to show an ID to vote are benefiting from people not having to show an ID to vote.
Voila. There we go.
That's a pretty simple conclusion to draw, isn't it?
Right. Well, what are you benefiting by not pushing something that every American, 70 to 80% of Americans on both sides agree this is something that we should do? The SAVE Act. Present an ID. Be a legal citizen. So on and so forth. How is this so difficult for an elected official where people, you have constituents? You really think 70 to 80% of the constituency in your district or in your state doesn't want this? Because the national polling suggests otherwise, right?
No, and that's the case. You just ask around. Do your own spot polling. Everyone says, well, yeah, it's common sense. Why wouldn't we want that?
But if you don't have to worry about re-election, or you got a coffer of money over here where you can just beat your opponent by outspending them, what's the impetus to listen to your constituency?
I saw a great meme yesterday on X. Had a picture of Mitch McConnell. Chuck Vulture Schumer was in the middle. He's always sitting these days like a vulture, hunched over, and got that Looney Tunes vulture face. And then to the other side was Nancy Pelosi. Said, the problem in American politics is not who's in the White House for 4 to 8 years. It's who's in Congress for 40 to 50.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I mean, the longer you're there, and again, I'm not saying every one of them, but look at their bank accounts. I mean, you don't become a 50 millionaire by being a senator.
We'll be charitable and set 30 as the age for this quick discussion. It has been well over 50 years since any of them were 30 years old. You want to tell me, you want me to believe that you think the world is operating in a similar enough fashion to what it was in 1975 that they're equipped to make decisions on your behalf?
Hey, Mose says, Mitch McConnell was one of the 2 turtles on Noah's Ark.
Yes.
I think you're right, Mose.
And the sad thing is, he didn't even realize he got on the boat then.
Oh, he's like, where am I? Who picked me up?
What's going on? What time's brunch? When we come back, we got something cheerful to talk about, at least when we come back, because Agriculture Commissioner Andy Gipson, who looks really good on a horse, we're going to talk about that and the Dixie National Rodeo when we return on Mornings here on SuperTalk Mississippi. Keep it here.
From the Seabrook.com.
With Richard Cross is brought to you by Covington County Hospital in Collins, where your health matters.
In the car, at home, or at work, it's always free to listen to Super Talk Mississippi and Mornings with Richard Cross.
Welcome back. Super Talk Mississippi mornings on a Friday morning. Dave Hughes here, and joining us now, the Agriculture Commissioner for the great state of Mississippi, the one and only Andy Gipson. How you doing this morning, Commissioner?
All doing great, Dave. Just enjoying life here in Mississippi and the Dixie National Rodeo. We're having a great time this week. Yeah.
Well, and I have to say, and I want to direct people in this direction, because I saw it about an hour and a half ago. You posted a video on X about a minute long, several things that I got that were takeaways from that. Number one, you had a great message, I thought, talking about God-given rights and the fact that sometimes we don't think about what that phrase means. But the other important thing I got from that is you look really good on a horse.
Well, thank you, Dave. I've been doing it all my life, so if I don't by now, I probably won't. I enjoy it. I love to ride horses. My family does. My wife, Leslie, and I do a lot. A lot of our trips, we ride horses together. And so when we get ready for the Dixie National, we mount up and keep it going strong here at the rodeo. And we are celebrating America. This is America 250. So the message I've been greeting all the rodeo fans with is, let's thank God for our freedoms. We have freedoms that most of the world dreams about. They only can dream about the freedoms that we have, and we understand that our freedoms don't come from the government. They come from God. So that's the message, and people are celebrating all over Mississippi with us, and frankly, we're broadcasting on the Cowboy Channel worldwide, so we're reaching a global audience with this positive message about Mississippi.
And that's not surprising to me. It may be surprising to some folks that don't realize that the Dixie National Rodeo is one of the premier rodeos, if not the premier rodeo, in America every year. This is not just something that you just kind of throw together. This is an enormous event every year.
It is a massive production. It is a huge event, 10 days. We will welcome 150,000 people here to our fairgrounds, the state fairgrounds, where I get to greet everybody. And, of course, we're broadcasting it worldwide on the Cowboy Channel and RFD TV. But it is the largest rodeo east of the Mississippi River. So we have folks coming here for this event from literally all over the world. Cowboys from Australia, New Zealand, literally every corner of the globe. And they come to Mississippi, and we're making sure they have a good experience and realize that Mississippi is the best place to live and to work and to raise a family.
Now, how have the crowds been? How have things been going so far? Because we've only got just a couple of days left, right?
That's right. We've got one more weekend tonight, Friday night at 7 o'clock. We'll have Muscadine Bloodline in concert. Just a few tickets left for that. And then Saturday we have 2 o'clock and 7 o'clock shows with Mark Chestnut in concert. And we invite you to come on out. We're knocking on the door of another record for the Dixie National. We have set 4 back-to-back records since I've been commissioner. And I'm looking forward to setting a 5th one Saturday night. We'll know, and I'm excited about it. But we're having great crowds, great attendance. We've added some new events. There's a new ranch sorting event in the Kirk Fordyce Equine Center. We just finished new seating inside of that thanks to the support from the legislature. And that's a whole new event that'll be happening today and tomorrow. And it's free to the public. It's one of the fastest growing sports. We had breakaway roping in the Equine Center the last 2 days. And again, one of the fastest growing rodeo sports for the ladies, breakaway roping is. So we're constantly looking for ways to expand and enhance the greatest show on dirt. And we're proud to do it right here in Mississippi.
Now, let me ask you, because I'm not familiar with it. Ranch sorting. What is that for people like me who don't know what that is? It's brand new at the rodeo this year. What is that event?
That event is basically you've got some cowboys, cowgirls on horseback, and they're sorting cattle out of a pen or into a pen. And so as they do that, this is really an opportunity for folks who are just getting into rodeo, just getting into the sport, to get their foot in the door. And they're telling me we've got a huge number of contestants signed up for this. I'm going to go there today and check it out. But again, it is one of the fastest growing sports in rodeo. And we're having it right here in the Equine Center. That's in the Kirk Fordyce Equine Center. The biggest problem we have, frankly, is we don't have enough room to do all the events that we want to do on 105 acres. We need a larger campus, and I'm excited about the prospect of one day having a much larger fairgrounds. I'm looking forward to that day.
Well, and I was about to ask you, because that didn't just come up this year as a problem. That has been a problem for several years now. Just a lack of space, because the event has grown to such an enormous proportion and enormous importance that you kind of outgrowing your shoes here. The question becomes, what can you do about that? How can you expand the fairgrounds?
Well, we were able to add about 10 acres right along 55 there. If you're coming into Jackson, you'll see where the old hotels were. The legislature approved the acquisition and the demolition of those properties. So we have a little extra space there that'll help us a little bit. But I'm thinking, 10, 20 years down the road, we're going to really have to have a serious conversation about having a larger space and how to do that and where to do that. And, in fact, it's something that's been on my mind for 3 or 4 years now. And I think we always have to look at ways to make things better. Supporting our 4-H and FFA youth to have a great place to show their livestock, which is the best workforce development program in Mississippi. 4-H and FFA youth, we had about 1,500 of them here this year. So these are young people who will be our future leaders. And, we're sitting down with folks brainstorming about what to do for the next several years.
Well, and it seems to me like the logical move, not necessarily the one you would want to make, because you'd just like to keep everything in one continuous track. You may have to go to a secondary location somewhere, right?
I think that's exactly right, Dave. I think that makes a lot of sense. It's what most venues around the country have, a continued venue in the capital city. But I would love to see us have an expanded campus of maybe 200 acres or so, where we could have a lot more of the livestock operation add to this event. Because frankly, as I said, we just don't have the room. We don't have the space. And it's a challenge. Look, Jackson, Mississippi has its challenges. I don't have to tell anybody that. And when you're running a rodeo in Jackson, when you're running a state fair, it's a constant situation that we have to look at. We want to keep it here. We want to make sure that it grows here, but we also have to realize logistically we don't have the space. We have had to have some shows that were not able to come this year because we didn't have the space to accommodate everybody. So that's a good problem to have, but it's a problem we can overcome with some strategic planning. And I have some very clear ideas about the direction we need to go with that, and I'll be sharing more about that over the coming year.
Well, and that's step one, always, to have a plan. The problem is sometimes we fall into the trap of wondering what the deal is. We had a plan. It's been going great. Why do we need to change anything? You got to realize the current fairgrounds that were developed were not developed for this size of an event. They just didn't have that in mind, because that size of an event didn't really exist when they were putting the fairgrounds together, right?
You're exactly right. We were operating out of a fairgrounds that was constructed 75 to 100 years ago, a coliseum that was built in the 1960s. That's about half the size of the modern venues that we see around the country. And I have had the privilege of attending the largest rodeos around America, even the Calgary Stampede, and gotten some great ideas and input about, ways to do things that can enhance not only the rodeo sport, but other large venues and events. And we're in the big events business here at the State Fairgrounds and the Department of Agriculture, and we like to see things grow. I tell people I'm not a maintenance man as much as I am a builder, and I like to build, and I have some ideas about that. And we've been talking with some legislators about it, and I think we're getting some traction on some of these ideas.
Well, there comes a time where you can only rebuild so much. You have to replace or do an add-on, do an addition, one or the other. We're going to take a break. If you can stick around through the break, I'm going to put the blame on this solely on you. You mentioned the legislature, so you want to talk about the session when we come back?
Sure.
Fantastic. Agriculture Commissioner Andy Gipson with us. Dixie National Rodeo tonight, tomorrow night. You're running out of times to go. So go ahead and make your plans right now to be there, and we'll discuss that again before we get out of here in just a moment as we continue on this Friday morning on mornings here on Super Talk Mississippi. Keep it here.
The Venable Glass.
Stay social during the show at SuperTalk Mississippi on Facebook. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi and the SuperTalk app.
Was not her style. Touristas there, they drove her a while. The border's a place, but on a brand new face.
Welcome back. Super Talk Mississippi Mornings. Dave Hughes here. Agriculture Commissioner Andy Gipson with us as Dixie National Rodeo enters its final couple of days. But let's talk for a moment about the other big thing going on in Mississippi, which is every year at this time, the legislative session. We've made it past some of the deadlines. I just want to get your thoughts, kind of a conversational blank check in a way. How do you think it's going, and what would you like to still see happen before they adjourn, sine die?
Well, of course, my primary job is to represent our farmers, landowners in the state, and the legislature has been good to us. Our request this year for different pieces of legislation that will further support our greatest industry. Agriculture is the largest business in the state of Mississippi. It is the backbone of our economy. So there's some good bills like the Grain Indemnity Fund bill moving through the process. There's legislation that'll make sure people know not eating fake meat. Last year the legislature banned lab-grown meat, and this year it's tightening up the artificial meat, the labeling laws. And then there's some other miscellaneous agriculture-related bills that are moving through the process, and we appreciate those. I think at a high level, there's some big issues, as you know, that the legislature has tackled and will continue to be topics of discussion. Obviously, school choice was the one that really kicked this session off. And I saw the House made some amendments to the Senate bill. And there's some Senate proposals that are out there also. So, I encourage folks to keep having that conversation and working toward a solution that'll give people more freedom here in Mississippi, the same kind of freedoms that folks have, say, in Alabama, Tennessee. I think that in a larger sense, there's a critical issue that's pending, and that is the retirement system for our state employees, PERS system, that needs to be shored up and funded. I appreciate what the Senate did is to pass legislation to further fund that, to shore that up. Is a risk not only for our state employees, but it's a risk for the state of Mississippi and our financial credit situation as a whole. So it's important that it be shored up for the long term. And I've asked the legislature to support our law enforcement, our first responders, our teachers, and resolve this Tier 5 issue that is really going to hamper our ability to hire good people. We are already having difficult times hiring employees, the next generation. Speaking for our agency, about 60% of our folks that work for us could retire today. So we're seriously thinking about who's going to take the reins of this agency and many others around the state, and having a way that will attract young workers and keep them here for the long haul with competitive pay, and that retirement absolutely critical. I know there's a fix for Tier 5 that's in hopper over at the legislature. That's a huge issue that's got to be addressed for the long-term sustainability of our state workforce. It work not only in our department, but, law enforcement agencies in every county and city across the state. Those are a couple of big issues. I know that it's sad to see the ballot died. I'm a supporter of the right of the people to vote. I think that there were some good proposals on that, and I'm hopeful that it'll come back in the future. But at high level, they're down to the budgeting process. The legislature's been good to us. We don't have an exorbitant budget. We have what we need to operate, and we are, again, seeking for a compensation plan that's going to give our workers, the future workers, competitive pay and keep them here, do good work that our agents do for agriculture, but all the people in this, every consumer, everybody who fuels a gas tank. Our folks are out there doing that good work.
I want to make sure to clarify something that you said there, because we did have a couple of spots here and there where the signal kind of dropped and your audio would drop out for a second. And I want to make sure that everybody heard this correctly. You said right now in the agriculture department, 60% of your employees are able to retire and go home today, basically. They've got their time in, they're qualified and ready to go. That's a significant chunk of people you're going to have to replace more than likely sooner rather than later, which is why this entire thing about Tier 5 and PERS is not a problem for a few years down the road. It's got to be fixed right now, doesn't it?
It's got to be fixed now, and that is true. A lot of great folks that are working with us, and I've asked our employees to stay on through the remainder of my term here as Ag Commissioner, and they've agreed to do that. But we're not alone in this. Many agencies across the state have a lot of employees that could retire, a large number. And when you lose that institutional knowledge, somebody's got to fill their shoes. And I think that's why it's so critical we get this Tier 5 and PERS situation resolved this year. There's some good bills. I saw a Senate bill this morning, a return to work option for folks who have retired that'll give some flexibility. I support that for the teachers, for the law enforcement. Something's got to give. We've got to keep the work going. And at the end of the day, we have a very small agency, but it's important work for consumers, for everybody who has a business, to keep commerce flowing. And that's why I'm interested in those issues.
Ag Commissioner Andy Gipson, I am so thankful as always you took some time out to join us this morning. Keep up the good work. Don't fall off your horse. Best advice I can give you.
News, interviews, weather, sports, all right here, all morning long. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Saw you burning on the corner of Graves, dressing like a mama, don't you want to play? Well, I'm right over here. Come on and start to wander my way. Moon is a spotlight across your money face, $1 million smile, and there ain't no change. If it's by chance you're waiting for, why don't you start to wander my way?
Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. Welcome back. I'm sorry, I had to let bumper play all the way out because, well, we've got him right here. He's the host of In a Mississippi Minute with Steve Azar. He is Mississippi's musical ambassador and just one heck of a great human being. The one and only Steve Azar joins us. Steve, how you doing this morning, man?
Dave, good morning, man. You're too good. Too good.
Well, I try to give you intros that you feel like you have to live up to.
I felt like, when you play all that, it's funny, being the guy that, when you write it and then you produce it, you hear every nook and cranny of what, I was telling Lance, I'm sitting in the seat that I wrote it when he was talking about it before you came on, and these four legs on this chair, I guess they're still standing, so I guess it's okay. But you think about the journey, so I can see every inch of what it took for that to be finalized and for you to play it on the radio. And some of it's good, some of it's like, oh, man.
I have not in music, but I have experience in creative things and doing creative stuff. And I want to ask you if this applies to music as well. Right. You get done with a song like that. Everybody loves it. It sounds awesome. It's incredible. When you listen to it, do you hear at least one thing and you go, I really wish I'd have done that differently?
Man, I hear more than one thing.
Yeah.
It used to drive me a little bit mad and a little crazy. But I realized that there's some perfection and imperfection, and that in music, and sometimes nobody wants to hear you do it perfect, and especially now with AI and everything that's coming out. You know, I was writing a song the other day with a friend of mine in Nashville. It's the first time I've co-written since 2011.
Wow.
And so I just wanted to, you know, she's on fire right now. She's getting all sorts of big cuts, and she's wonderful. And anyway, we wrote 2 songs in about 2 hours. We sort of had them mapped out, but you know, she goes, "Oh, I'm going to run this through." She played it and sang it, and we were doing it via Zoom now, which you can do. And she sticks this in this app, and it pulls it plays, it makes a complete record out of it. And I said, she goes, I go, "What is that?" And in 2 minutes. And I'm telling you, I put it in the studio and I cranked it up, and it sounds like a world-class record ready to be on radio. And I'm going like, that scares it, but it sounded too perfect. And also the singer that, you know, it was her voice, but it wasn't her voice when this record came out. It sort of gives you an idea. And AI has these voices that you can sort of, you know, that come out when they listen to your voice. And obviously it's another voice, but it's close. And then, but everything was so precise. But like 50% of that I'd have done if I'd have made that record. And the whole record sounds like it was made in a Nashville session that you spent $3,000 on. So it's a little scary in that regard. And but I still think people that are listening, they want to hear something great and everything, but none of our ears are trained to hear perfection. The Beatles were, you know, I was never I wasn't influenced at all by the Beatles. I get it. I love them. They're great, and I understand it. I love the fact that they were influenced by us rather than anything else, but I know how incredible the Beatles are, and they're one of the greatest bands of all time, but they had a lot of mistakes going on, and I think those mistakes sort of gave them an edge, you know?
Well, I hear people all the time when they're referring to AI and the creative things that are coming out of that is that it doesn't have a soul. That's exactly what you're talking about, because I'm sorry, if you do everything perfectly every single second of anything that you're making, you're not an artist, you're a robot. And I'm not really sure that's ever going to connect with anyone on an emotional level if it is just note perfect all the way through. Because that's where your emotion and that's where your personality comes out, I think.
Yeah, well, I think that what's going to happen, too, is live shows, they've always mattered. They're going to matter even more. So seeing the artist, hearing them play, and being that thing, and it's almost like, you know, vinyl went away, and then vinyl is coming back big time, right? And it's going to be almost like there's going to be a moment of this AI stuff artistically, because she told me that even when they do this, it saves publishers money to get a better idea of what the song could sound like produced, you know, without spending the money. So I understand that. And it sounds like a demo that you would have cut in Nashville. So why would you spend the money? It puts musicians out of business, which is why you'd spend the money. You know, why you would want to spend the money is keep your industry healthy and vibrant. But so all of these things are going to be a trickle down effect to the producer and all that. But the bottom line is, it's going to be like, what's organic again? And just like vinyl was it was like opening up a piece of vinyl record. It was like looking at a big painting on the cover, and you're opening it up, and it's like this event. And nothing's going to take place of a band in their natural form, and then you're going to, all of a sudden, people are going to be really recording, oh, he actually recorded this and actually played the guitars himself. Those are all real parts from real people. It'll happen, and because it's just the way that the world rolls. So people will get tired of hearing it when it's going to start feeling a little synthetic, I think, unless AI starts to figure out the human soul, which we hope won't happen.
Oh, no, please. I've seen the Terminator movie, Steve. Let's not go there.
Exactly what it is.
You talking about keeping musicians in business. We're talking about, in large part, session musicians. And to me, the biggest example of why session musicians are so important, if it weren't for session musicians, you wouldn't have the band Toto, because they were all session guys.
They were so good. So was Steely Dan. All these guys were great session guys, you know, that came flying out of there. You're right. I mean, you're right. If they can't get together and become something or potential of becoming something, then we all miss out because of what could have happened.
Yeah, and it's a shame because you hear so many stories from artists, and I'm sure you've got them too, that you've got a song written, you've got it ready, you sit down to record it, and you mess up somewhere, and you go, hey, wait a minute, that was pretty good, actually. Let's work that in there.
Mistakes. Listen, I'm telling you, the mistakes that I've made, I'm not a great lead guitar player, but my lead's been on a lot of my records because when I would sit by myself in the studio, and I was, my home studio, I would just start messing around, and the first attempts are on most of my records, and I'd go, of course I got to go back and really do it. And then everybody would hear it and go, what are you talking, really do what? That's it. And I was like, so, I mean, those first attempts and those mistakes and and sometimes when you're not really thinking about it, I mean, those are the magic moments. I mean, for me, it's been that way, and I've been in the business long enough to hear a lot of my friends say the same thing. Those mistakes you're talking about sometimes are the most classic pieces of records that everybody's drawn to. It's what it is an instinct. And I think when something works that's instinctual, people just gravitate toward it. Listeners do.
Well, what you were talking about just then, that first take you're playing from your heart. The rest you're trying to play from your head.
That's exactly right. It's interesting, but it's always a little bit strange to me, Dave, that that's amazing that came out without any thought. And that it's right. You know what I mean? Because that's the beauty of it. But I think, like in anybody's profession, anybody that's listening right now, anybody that does what they do, things can become very instinctual. And sometimes you do things better without thinking about it at all. At some point, you really get good at what you're doing because you've done it so much, and you've done it wrong a bunch of times. So once you sort of start getting in the habit of, and then a really good work ethic, I think that you're gifted those moments in any profession.
Well, I keep trying to tell people, and you drifted us off into an AI conversation, which is great.
I apologize.
No, I have those on a regular basis, but you illustrate the point I've been trying to make for a while now perfectly. Everyone seems to be terrified of artificial intelligence and how it's going to ruin everything and take over everything. Two things. Number one, it's a tool. That's all it is. It's a tool. Number two, unless it gets the ability to sit around and just noodle for a bit and come up with something the goofy that happens spontaneously, it's never going to be able to replace human artists fully. It won't.
No, it won't. I mean, it's going to fool a lot of people for a long time, and it's going to be. But you just said it. If you use it as a tool. Like, I don't have a problem with what she played the other day after we wrote it. Her version with her singing it by itself before she put it in the system, for AI system, the app, was way better. So I've listened to both of them, and I quit listening to the other one. But at least it lets you sort of know, well, this could be a record, But I can hear a record being made from the raw song. That to me is the magic. If you know that it feels good by itself with nothing happening but one instrument and one voice, then you got something. And so, but at some point, you're going to go in and you hope that a big star will sing it. And if they do it, they're going in with real players. So
well, you can tell that because you're Steve Azar. Can you stick around through the break?
I'd love to. Maybe we'll talk about what we're supposed to talk about.
I don't even know what that is at this point,
Hello,
Steve.
Mississippi.
Yeah, we'll figure it out when we come back here on Mornings. Keep it here.
From the Venable Glass.
Grab another cup of coffee and start your day right. Mornings with Richard Cross here on Super Talk, Mississippi.
Welcome back. Mornings presented by Community Bank, rooted in our community. Go to communitybank.net to find out more about what they can do with you. We're talking with Steve Azar, and we are once again proving the fact that every time he and I get together for a chat, neither one of us knows when to stop. It just kind of runs away with us, Steve. That's the way it always works.
Like Andy Griffith on the front porch. I don't know who's Andy and who's Barney, but that's where we are.
I'm pretty sure I'm going to be Barney in that scenario. So, yeah, thanks for that indirect comparison. I appreciate it. I'll be thinking about that the rest of the day.
Bringing out some dessert for us.
I gotta get my one bullet, put it back in my pocket, just so I'm ready at any given moment. A lot of stuff going on. I do want to mention briefly today on In a Mississippi Minute with Steve Azar, you got part 2 of a great interview with Mike Farrell. That's not one that I think a lot of people would expect to turn up on your show, but it's a great interview with some great stuff.
He's on all the time now. Will's probably going to go, slow down, Steve, but I love having him. It's amazing. He's a really big-time business consultant, but his nickname is Mike the Monk Guy Farrell. He's on his 4th book now, and he goes out and consults big businesses around the country, strictly on the values of monk principles, which date back, 1,500 years or whatever, and it's all about ethics and values and morals, and he studied theology, and anyway. The bottom line is how he uses those core principles, and he helps you find your purpose and helps you strengthen that purpose in your business. And it also affects he also digs into the personal life, because every business and all the people that work there, great leaders, all of this stuff need to be in sync. And he helps leaders become, better to their employees and give them more of a leg up and more of a voice and all of this. But it's based off trust and everything that you were raised hoping that we'd all end up being able to be a part of. But he's a beautiful soul. I can't get enough of him because it's always different. But yet it goes back to that core, the values and ethics. And that's how you'd love for anybody's boss or people working with you. It's amazing the success that he has proved once everybody's in that sync.
Step 1, everybody working for you is a people. They're a human being, right. Which kind of gets lost sometimes, but that's kind of an underpinning of what Mike talks about. It's a fantastic thing. And you have a wide variety of people on the show. I will say that.
Yeah.
And you do a great job with it.
Pretty good. It does. I've got to prepare myself mentally. Listen, I interviewed yesterday. Next month, everybody's going to flip out. If you're listening, you're not going to believe it. He's called a human calculator. And I met him through Alice Cooper when we did this Rock for Children record, and I met him through Joe Norelli, who's a big donor of our foundation. Joe Norelli's company builds missiles and all this, and they're just so good. They don't live in Mississippi, but donate big time. And Scott was named by Regis Philbin, the human calculator, and he's been on Oprah. He's been on back in the Larry King days 8 times. He's been on Jay Leno's Tonight Show. And he's in the Guinness Book of World Records. His mind works faster mathematically than anyone else's in the world. So it's crazy. And I feel like it's magic because there's no way anybody can do this. He also invented a 13-month calendar with 28 days in each month that makes way more sense. And when he looks at numbers, you know how we look from right to left when you're adding stuff? He figured out as a 9-year-old, 10-year-old, by accident, he said, why would you not go from right to left? And that's how his mind moves really fast. So he does it on the air with me while I'm punching the calculator. I literally can't keep up just hitting the equal sign. His mind is adding all these numbers faster than I can hit equals. Crazy.
And that's a great guest. I'm looking forward to that one, but we can't gloss over one little thing you just casually dropped into that whole little series of statements. Anytime you can legitimately say, well, I met him through Alice Cooper, you're living a good life, Steve.
Well, I met him through making this record with Alice Cooper. I do know Alice. We used to do the Bob Hope together back in the day when they'd bring us out, and because he's a really good golfer and just a great guy. But I was asked to be on this album that we were up for a Grammy with, and now we're fighting now. The funny thing is I'm going to Delta State today. I decided I'm going to bring the kids to Delta State to play on this record with me because they're doing a Rock for Children Volume 2.
Yeah.
And we're fighting to get in. And so the kids at Delta State have done a wonderful job. We're going to finish it today, going to get it mixed, and then we're going to send it off with a prayer and see if we make the record. We got some stiff competition, a lot of big rock people that you know from our past that we all grew up on. And so we're going to try to slip in at the 11th hour with actual kids of Delta State playing with me on the record, singing with me. It's awesome.
Well, you're going to have big competition. It was just revealed yesterday that 94-year-old William Shatner is doing a metal album. So,
oh my gosh!
I don't know if you saw that.
Yes, man, I love it. It's so funny.
I almost didn't sleep last night worrying about that. It just doesn't sit quite right for whatever reason. But hey, knock yourself out. Have a good time.
Didn't you have a word spoken record once, like he was talking through it?
Yes. He did a spoken word record and did the, I think the best way to put it is the most interesting version of Rocket Man you've ever heard. If you've never heard it.
Yeah.
You got to go look that up and watch the video, by the way. It really adds to the experience.
We're supposed to be talking about Nick Baumgartner, who comes to our charity event every year, a friend of ours, that's been ruling the airways. He was with Snoop Dogg the other day on the Today Show. We're so proud of him. And he's 44 years old, and he was skiing at one point. Snowboarding at one point with everybody his son's age, because he was the last American standing, won gold when he was 40 years old, and then was 10 inches away from making the finals in the single division this year. 10 inches. I mean, he came flying in. They had to do a photo finish between second and third, and he got carted out. And then he had to do the small final, which eliminated him from the medal round for that particular deal. But I mean, he made the comment, this is the most fun I've ever had losing in my life. He's 44. And all these guys they're 20, 21, 22. And he's still able to compete with them on an Olympic level. It's crazy.
I don't know how you pull that off, because I don't know about you, Steve. Every year that passes, my knees get louder and louder when I stand up. Yeah, I don't know how you're able to compete at that high of a level in your mid-40s.
Yeah, it's really amazing if you think, Tom Brady, we watched what he did. We watched what Phillip Rivers did this year, coming back after 5 years. Is it 5 years? He's been coaching football, and he's able to, and he almost beat Seattle. I mean, lit it up. I just feel like, who won the Super Bowl. So I just feel like some of these guys are just, they're not real. They're bionic or something. Because at 44, I was playing a lot of basketball then and a lot of golf, and my body was hurting all the time.
Yeah.
And so I just don't understand how you can get in such a competitive mode with the youth who's in the best shape of their life and nothing, and they're bendable. We're not bendable anymore.
No. They're indestructible in their 20s.
Yeah, but we're proud of him. Hopefully he hasn't gotten too big for us, so he can come help us raise money this summer.
Well, that's my question. How do you know Nick? Tell me about this connection here.
Terry Ahola, who was a really big time skier, the slaloms and all that, giant slaloms and all that stuff. He was on the U.S. Olympic team back in the day. We became really good friends through charity events we met at, and he's never missed. And, in fact, I got to meet all these I used to go to the American Ski Classic all the time, and then they asked me in Vail to write the official World Ski Championship song that I did on NBC, called Fly. So I understood the skier. I'm not real good at skiing, but, I can get down the hill, but my favorite part is when it's all said and done and we're having something to drink after, knowing I survived. But Terry brought Nick to us, introduced him. They're both from the UP, and then so since then, I think Nick's come 3 of the last 4 years, and he's become family. I mean, it's what happens when you come down here. You're really screwed, because all our Mississippi friends become dear friends with all of our celebrity guests, all our big sponsors. We have people coming in from 22 states, and I promise you should see the text chain. I've got Marshall Henderson. We have this thing called, I can't remember what the name of the text chain. Marshall Henderson and Louis Coleman, who pitched at Ole Miss from Greenwood, pitched at LSU and won the College World Series, Game 7, Game 2, Game 3, whatever it was. So he wins the World Series, and all these Kentucky major Wildcat fans, and they're all like family now. They've been to Marshall's wedding. They all get together when they're here, but they're on texting. Every day we're communicating together. I hear something from Marshall Henderson every day. We saw his baby Deuce yesterday, and then Louis was making a joke. I can't wait to see him play for LSU.
No.
And so this stuff's going on, but these Kentucky Wildcats, they're like the biggest donor. I mean, like big time donors for Kentucky. They're the ones on the best sideline seat. They're the ones with the best box in Kentucky and all that, and basketball, football, everything. and they absolutely love Marshall, who they hated back then.
We're up against the break.
Now they are like family, and I think that's the beauty of our event.
Well, we're up against the break. We goofed around. Can you stick around and we can cover the specifics of the event for just a couple of minutes?
Sure, I'd love to. I'm having fun. I'm drinking coffee.
Oh, Steve's got nothing else to do. You know, he's not busy at all, as you can tell.
We were supposed to start at 8:35, so I feel good about it.
Oh, perfect. Well, we'll get started right after this. Keep
from the Seabrook.com.
Mississippi. Dive into the news and debates driving the day. All on your ride to work. Mornings with Richard Cross. Super Talk, Mississippi.
Check one. Where's all my volume?
Thing ties into what we were talking about 2 hours ago on the first segment. Feels like it anyway. The beginning of that song where you say check 1 2, where's my volume? Was that planned out from the word go?
No, I was at my mixing board. I was doing it, and I was a joke. I couldn't hear myself, and I was going, "Where's check 1?" and then I was about to start singing. And I thought, well, I'll just keep it. I was thinking, so that was a mistake. And then the guitar lick in the front, all those guitars were my mistake. That was the one song one of the many songs that I kept the first take.
Oh, it adds some flavor to it. It adds.
Well, volume,
it soul.
It could be interpreted as money. So I felt like
Yeah, no, it fits perfectly because I got no money, I got no volume, I got no traction, I got no nothing. Just kind of fits the theme perfectly.
I always felt like, well, if I don't have to be Meat on Mondays was as big a hit as it was, long weekend. How about giving us some extra money? I mean, extra days in the month, but we make, well, what do you need extra month? You need extra days to pay all this stuff, I felt like, well, that was a good sentiment, but it wasn't as big a hit as Monday. Nothing was for me, so.
Yeah, it should have been, though, in my opinion, because I absolutely.
It's been in a few movies. I mean, like it's one right now. That song has been in 3 movies, so that's kind of cool.
Oh, that is cool. That's very cool. Now, we were talking about Nick Baumgartner, Olympian. Yeah. 44-year-old, extremely senior citizen Olympian. You don't see a lot of 40 and 50-year-olds in that range competing in the Olympics. He's helping you out with an event coming up. You were talking about your text chain. Tell us a little bit about that and what we're talking about there.
Well, you guys have helped us every year as well, so we're all a team. Y'all bring y'all's Fridays down here. I wish you'd come down and be a part of it. We hadn't had you on Delta Soil at the Delta Soul. But, we had 22 states represented usually, ish. We've had 30 Grammys on stage at one time. Now, one guy had 15 of them. A lot of the Blowfish guys have come. Sony, drummer from Hootie and the Blowfish last year, was here. We've had Mark and Dean. Darius hadn't made it yet, but Darius is a little busier than the other guys usually. So, we've had incredible Des Dickerson from Prince and the Revolution, Richard Karn from Home Improvement every year, just about, just all these wonderful sponsors that come in and just park their money in the Delta, and we get to disperse it to all these wonderful arts programs, and they just become dear friends and family. And it's in June 11 through 14 this year, and we are on our 15th year, which is pretty good. We got past the 7-year itch. Past the 10-year, we'll see you later. And now we're at 15. As long as the good Lord gives Gwen and I and our team health that we can keep going, we will. But I can't believe we're at 15 years now. Crazy.
Well, and you talk about this event and all the good this event does. A little bit earlier, you referenced getting the kids at Delta State with the recording studio there and putting together something to try to make an album, make it onto an album. The amount of influence you have in the arts in Mississippi, I don't think can be overstated, and you should be thanked more for it, to be honest.
No, I don't ever.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, Dave, I appreciate that, but I got to tell you something. I'm so grateful that I get to do this, and that I'm at the age I'm at right now, which I'm not going to say on the radio, although you guys always aren't afraid, the whole country isn't afraid to talk about my birthday and age every year on radio when it happens. But with that said, I don't care. I'd rather be my age. I wouldn't go back and do anything over. Even the mistakes, I'll take them. I'm at a point where I really, 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 really enjoyed mentoring the next group of kids that are going to come up, and especially from Mississippi, that can to add to our lure. And I got to tell you, to be a part of a small piece of Mississippi's music history, it means more to me than you'll ever know. It's bigger than Madison Square Garden. I did that. It's bigger than the Rose Garden or the Boston Garden. All these things you sort of dream up in your mind as a kid. Could I get there? When you were sitting in a bar playing, or at a fraternity house, or whatever, at the Pike House at Mississippi State, which I played all the time, and where I learned to do what I do. And so I'm grateful for all the folks that gave me the opportunity to learn on their time and in their moments of entertainment, being entertained, that I was the guy, and they gave me hope. It made me feel like our state made me feel like I could do this. And the state of Mississippi is the hardest state that you can get through. The rest of the world becomes easy, because that's how much we are respected musically worldwide. When you cross out of these state lines, nobody compares. Nothing compares to us.
Let me ask you a question.
So I had a pretty good training ground, you know.
Yeah, well, you got started, you got thrown into the deep end, if you will, and once you come out of there, you're a world-class swimmer.
Yeah,
that's basically what you're saying. But
swim or drown.
Let me ask you a question, something you said there before we run out of time. Do you miss those days when it was just you and a guitar on a stage in a bar?
No, I don't. Those are hard days, 4 hours a night, making $100 for 4 hours, and then whoever you were with drank the $100 worth. So, no, I don't miss it. I just don't. I mean, in my mind, when my band was playing, we were really rolling at one point. Had a lot of versions of me along the way with different players when I was here, and I was grateful for it. But I got to tell you, I used to sit in the corner behind my amps. I had a lot of them, and I would sit there between sets, and I would go, how can I get to a place where it's real, like forever? You know, like it's forever. I knew it was real what I was doing, but I was so focused on the songs and what I didn't enjoy the moment. But I don't want to go back to that. But I do love with a piano on stage, a couple guitars, me alone. I do that probably. I used to do it a lot. Between our band shows, I do it. There's a lot of venues around the country that is perfect. 400, 500, 600 people, sometimes 1,000, sometimes 300. But it's intimate and it's crowded, and they are quiet as it can be, and it's all about the stories and the songs. So no, I love doing that. But for 75 minutes or something, 90 minutes. After that, you got to put me to bed.
Well, and let's go ahead and let's spoil it now. He wouldn't reveal his age. I'll tell you right now, he's 32. Also, man, I have a full head of hair, so it all works out perfectly for both of us.
Well, I've got a full head of hair, and I'm 61. So there you
go. See, you've only got me by a couple of years.
No, I got you. I hope that we're going to have this conversation, and you can say I've got you by a couple of years and 20 years. I hope that can happen. So we'll see how she goes.
That I wouldn't put any of your money down on that, Steve. I'm not sure time works that way, but we'll give it a shot. You never know, right?
Yeah, God's plan. God's got a plan.
Steve Azar, this afternoon, part 2 of his interview with Mike Farrell. It's a good one. You're going to learn something when you show up and listen on your SuperTalk stations. You keep doing a great job with that show, and just don't let up. Keep up the quality that you're putting out there, my friend.
Thank you, buddy. You're the best, Dave. Have a great weekend, and love you, Mississippi.
Thank you so much, Steve. Always enjoy talking to Steve. He is, he's an extremely talented artist, but more importantly, he's just a great person. He's just a fantastic guy. Lance, you've talked to him plenty of times as well. You know what I'm talking about. He's just a great guy.
Oh, he just makes you feel great. Yeah, honestly, that's every time I get to visit with Steve, and it's not nearly enough. But it's just this feeling you get of, a great appreciation for the path that he's been on, the success he's had, and being able to come back to Mississippi, make a living, and make an impact, and to understate that impact a little bit. He does. Here we don't. We know how important and how wonderful Steve Azar is, and as I said to a couple of our listeners, God broke the mold with him. They don't make a better guy. And that's just the truth. If you don't know Steve, you need to. And if you have an opportunity to go to one of the many events or concerts or things that he puts on, you're never going to be disappointed. First of all, he's an amazing human being, but he's also extremely talented, and we're extremely fortunate here in Mississippi to have him.
Well, and I want to make sure that everyone understands. This sounds like we're just, glad handing and patting him on the back, but I want you to understand something. We have opportunities on a regular basis to talk to him with no microphones, with no cameras, with nothing going on. It's just two guys sitting there talking. And what you just heard is Steve Azar. There are no pretenses. There's no fronting. He's a fantastic human being.
You put it perfectly. That conversation y'all just had is the way we talk, when you have an opportunity to talk to Steve. He's just an open book, and he's a wonderful guy to talk to.
Well, he and I don't talk as much as we probably would like to, because there's always a danger of getting nothing done for the rest of the day, because once we get started, we don't stop.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
Final segment of Mornings on the way on this Friday morning here on SuperTalk Mississippi, with some bad news for 80s rock fans. We'll tell you about that coming up next. Keep it here.
The bendable glass traffic.
From Duck Hill to Alligator, Mississippians start their day the right way. Mornings with Richard Cross on Super Talk Mississippi.
What's a frequency can it's your vintage.
Dan Rather.
Yeah, I always think of that.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, that was the inspiration for this. Welcome back here on Mornings, presented, of course, by Community Bank, which is more than just a place to manage your money. They're your neighbors, your partners, and your trusted financial advisors. For decades, they've been rooted in our community, helping families, small businesses, and individuals achieve their dreams. Whether it's opening your first savings account, planning for a brighter future, or growing your business, they're here for you every step of the way. Dedicated to their customers, committed to your success, and always there when you need them. Community Bank, rooted in our community, member FDIC. Some news came out yesterday, got a lot of people excited, myself included. Lance, I don't know if you saw the notice that Jonathan Cain from Journey said they had reached out to Steve Perry about reuniting, getting the band back together for one last go-through, and that he didn't say no.
Yeah, I heard something, was it yesterday, about that? So,
yeah.
It'd be interesting. I know Gerard will be fired up.
Well, he's going to be sad because Steve Perry himself made a post to X last night at 8:30. I'm going to read it to you. To all my friends, I've been hearing these recent rumors, and I wanted to speak to you all directly. While I'm always grateful for the love people still have for Journey, the rumors about me rejoining the band are simply not true, and I want to gently put them to rest. And he goes on and has other words, but I haven't read them because I lost interest at that point. But straight from Steve Perry's keyboard, no, that's not happening. I don't know if Jonathan Cain and Neil Sean were kind of trying to apply a little public pressure and see what would happen or what. But
a little kickback on there, like a chainsaw.
Yeah, he's
backed up on you.
Said he's continuing to explore new creative work and working on new music that reflects where he is today.
Man, he's aged very well.
He has, but have you heard anything from Steve Perry lately?
No.
Yeah, it's what this tells me is two things. He has a very strong set of creative morals. He's decided he's done with that, and he's done with that. And number two, the money has not run out.
Yeah, well, I mean, he said he had burnout, loss of passion for music from endless and relentless touring, declining vocal health, and some personal struggles like his mother's passing, and he had hip surgery as well, which we know is very difficult to do if you're standing up all the time on tour. You hear that of several of the older musicians that have had hip issues from, performing at that level for so long. So, yeah, you can imagine if you don't have to do much at 77 years old,
Yeah, that's the other thing. These guys are pushing 80, all of them.
Yeah, I mean, and Steve looks great for 77, but, I mean,
he does.
Why push it, if you don't need to?
Yeah, so it makes perfect sense. But I wanted to get that out there because, I was excited. I immediately ran to the next room, told my wife, listen to this.
Yeah.
And told her, and she got excited. And then last night, Steve put this out and crushed everyone's hopes and dreams. So I hope he's happy with himself.
Yeah, I heard that early yesterday morning, thinking that he was, there was some potential that he may join. The door was open, and then this news definitely shuts that down.
And I want to leave you with one thing. I don't know if you've heard about this, but Meta, the company that owns Facebook and Instagram and everything, has secured a patent on a new system to where when you die, artificial intelligence will take over and keep running your accounts and posting on your behalf, including with video calls, videos, photos, direct messages, like you're still there.
There was a lady that was interviewed. It must have been a couple weeks ago, and I read the interview, her talking about her mother had passed, and now AI can make her mother live forever on the internet and in the ether, and that she, there was a fee obviously involved, but basically you give them everything, and they create this artificial intelligence version of your loved one who's not there anymore. That's a little spooky.
Here's the problem. From a psychological standpoint, that is one of the most unhealthy things I've ever heard.
I mean, when I heard that, I thought the same thing. I'm like, ooh, man.
Everything has a season. Everything has a time. We may regret it otherwise, but without your regrets and without your fond memories, your life is not your life anymore. And I'm sorry, we're looking at this right now, and a beloved spouse who passes away, and you want to still talk to them. It's understandable.
Yeah.
However, I don't think it needs to turn into something where, your great-great-great-grandkids won't make a move unless they talk to Pawpaw about it first.
Peepaw, great Peepaw.
This is just not a good path in my mind.
It sounds unhealthy. Mentally, to me. But
mentally and emotionally.
You've got to learn to let go of something and some things. You just have to. And move forward, not look in the past and live there.
My wife said, well, why would they want to put that in place and do it? I said, because you can't monetize a dead person's account if they stop posting.
Boom.
That's all they care about.
There you go.
All right, on that cheerful note, this has been
Happy
a bummer
Friday.
of a segment, but we're done. Lance, buddy, enjoyed it as always.
Oh, man, it was a great day. Enjoyed it, Dave.
And we will do this again next Friday morning, same time, same place, my friend. I'll see you then.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.